Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of DANGHEESLING podcast. Super excited to be here today, whether you're tuning in from Anchorage, Alaska, Skokie, Illinois, Leeds, UK, Moxie, Kansas, or Natieri, Louisiana. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Got a lot to talk about this episode. It's going to be a little bit different, and it may be a little bit more just hitting you right close to home, I guess maybe the best way to put it. Or this is like super behind the curtain, but we're going to jump right into it. Long story short, the topic of this podcast is going to be about burnout versus recharging your batteries. And I think when you work a lot or when you're passionate about what you do, I think it's easy to get yourself into one of those two situations. Now let's talk about burnout first. To me, when I hear burnout, I think of, and this is just my opinion on this. This is not, anything scientific or factual. It's just my opinion on how I phrase things and how I treat things. But to me, when I hear burnout, I hear someone's working so hard, so much, where they get completely turned off by what they're doing. So, for example, I don't know, you run a barber shop or whatever you're doing, you get to the point where you work so hard and you don't want to do it anymore. I feel like that's burnout. And then the other one is like recharging your batteries. And I think there's a lot of different ways for people to do that. I heard this once that sometimes if you're an extrovert, you charge your batteries by being around other people. And the inverse is if you're an introvert, you charge your batteries by being by yourself. And so I don't think it's been any secret the past couple months. Like we've been on full tilt, like the full go. We've been, 2+ videos a day. In particular, in the past 30 days, we've been more than 2 videos a day running with Golden Goblet, with Spelunky daily. And then I tried to really push in the month of June to do Tarkov daily. And I got to the point like that. So that's running on Redline. And then we've been doing 5 streams a day. And I say all this not in like, don't play your mini violin for me. That's not it. I'm just telling you factually what's going on in the situation. And so at that point, like I knew when I added the Tarkov 3rd video, I knew that was going to redline, but it was important to me and I wanted to do it. So, I don't think we definitely didn't hit every day. I think we went on like a 14, 15 day streak and fell off a little bit and kind of hit as many as we could from there. But it was kind of one of those moments where like, you pushed everything down and, I got to a point on my end where like I've been running around a lot where certain things that are pretty important, say not related to what I do online, started to fall off. Where it got to the point I'm like, all right, I'm not to the point where, and I want to clarify this, 'cause I don't want someone to be confused listening. I am not in the category of burnout. That's not the category, but where I am right now is I'm at a spot where I need to recharge my batteries. And I think it comes at a great time for me is that, the way I recharge my batteries is to, literally do nothing. And it's really hard to get to that point because my mind's always working. So if I am, if I'm relaxing or if I have like a couple hours off, it's rare that, I'm not thinking about work. Like the way my schedule is set up through my own doing is that like and I feel like we might have talked this a few weeks ago, but I really don't have any time or I don't consistently give myself time to like do nothing. And when I say do nothing, I mean like not be working on something, whether, I'm not recording all the time or I'm not doing stuff, but I may be posting something to TikTok or doing something on social media where I'm literally not doing anything. It's, even got to the point where I'm running, I'm listening to podcasts. So and I think it's good. I think it's helped me in the past maximize my time, but I was like running and still doing something while I was running. And I think that's okay, but I've just kind of got to the point where it's time to recharge the batteries. And during that time, I'm going to take a look at everything I'm doing and probably move some stuff around, maybe cut some stuff, maybe, alter the stream schedule. But I think what's really important for me that I notice is to just know that it's time to do that, right? It's not like I'm very fortunate. I'm so fortunate that, this is an issue to have where like I truly enjoy doing everything to the point where like I'm doing it too much. And I think that's like, for me, that's always, and I talk about it from time to time. If you listen to or if you tune into the Twitch show, like I get blinders on. So when I really get into something That's all I'm focused on. So if I am like hanging out with family, that's what I'm doing. If I'm recording videos, like I don't think or worry about anything else if I'm doing the show. And so I think over time, like the way that works for me is like it creeps, right? So it's like a slow creep. It's not just like, one day I go from posting one video a day and the next day it's 3 videos a day. It's like a slow creep. I'm like, okay, I got the 1 video a day. Let's do 2 videos a day on YouTube. And so I think for me, it's just being aware of that. And one of the things I think was another indication for me that it was like time to recalibrate and take some time to recharge is one of the things I always pride myself on the Twitch show is always making each show just incrementally better in some way on the production side. I'm not talking about on an energy side or anything like that, but I used to, when I wasn't doing the show 5 days a week, I used to do it Monday, Wednesday, Friday. On those off days, I would take some time and do like, all right, hey, here's a new segment for the show. Here's, a new idea, and then execute on it for the next show. Where the way things are now, like I'm streaming every day, and which I like it, but I don't have that time, to do that, to kind of make those, implement those little ideas that I have. It may be like a new feature for the community to interact with. It may be a new segment inside of Tarkov. It may be, I just have all these ideas and a lot of them are done. It's just a matter of installing them, testing them, executing on them. And right now I just don't have the time to do that. And then kind of, when I talk about like that, for me, the decision is like, and I feel like it always is, it's like, are you better off setting up graphics for your stream or actually streaming? And to me, 9 out of 10 times, 9.9 out of 10 times, it's always just stream, and worry about the other stuff. But I feel like it's been so long since I've had like time to think and actually, all right, hey, where can I improve the show? Where can I make things better? Where are things lacking? What is the community asking for that I haven't got around to doing it? So just a lot of that stuff I think is important, and it's going to go into, adjustments to the schedule that I make. And I think and I don't know what any of that stuff looks like right now, but when I do, I'm going to be pretty strict with myself as much as I can in terms of sticking with that, because my thing is I want to do this, as a career, like 10 plus years, 15 plus years, however long I can do it, I want to do it. So I don't want to get in a position where I'm always, not burnout, but I'm always like at this point where I'm like, all right, hey, I got to do a massive recalibration. And I don't think there's any one way to do it, right? Like you don't know until you go through it. And I feel like that's one of the biggest posts or, landmarks of the show, because whenever I do a podcast, it's not just to ramble. It's I hope you take something from it. And I think one of the biggest things that I try to get across by, sharing the behind the scenes stuff with you is just that you don't know until you try something. Like everything we've been talking about here, it's trying, and it works or it doesn't work. But the point is you do something and then you make a decision based off the results. It's not just, well, let me sit here and plan all this stuff and then see what happens. Most of the time I just go and then adjust off of the results that happen after going. I feel like this is kind of a result of that, which is a good thing. So I expect, to change some stuff around and get to that point. But to even be able to be in a position to look at everything, I got to take a step back and take some time. So that's what my focus is going to be, is just kind of recharging here. And there's a plan in place and everything will kind of stem from that, which I'm excited about. So outside of that, like everything's really been at, I would say, record numbers, definitely on Twitch. In terms of people tuning in, then I don't think the numbers have ever been this high consistently. People supporting the show through the subscription model. It's just everything's at an all-time high. And so there's a bit of concern on my end, right? Like if I adjust anything at all from the point of, I don't want to say taking something away, but adjusting the schedule to make it at least what I think in the, near future or distant future is, to make it sustainable long term. So so it's like, hey, all this stuff is working and I'm happy with the results and how things are going. so why change it? And I think for me, like I said, it's just when things like this happen and situations come up, it's like, all right, well, how do you feel about it? Okay. If it's time to recharge the batteries and reassess, we're going to do just that and then make the proper adjustments and see what happens from there. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited, to have that time to kind of clear my head a little bit and then see what transpires from there. So, I don't think, and I think right now I have an idea, but I don't have the exact answer. And then, even when it comes to the right time to kind of move forward in that standpoint, I don't know that, I don't know that it'll work and then we'll see what happens. And if not, I think that the thing I think about most of all is I'm so fortunate to have such a supportive community that, if the schedule changes a little bit, you know, I don't know. I feel fortunate to have the support in the first place to even be in a position to maybe make those adjustments. And I think that's the thing. Like I know we've been going live 5 days a week for a very long time. Definitely since all of quarantine and all that stuff. But I've always tried to stress, like, we're not full time, and people always like respond back, yeah, like not full time, wink, wink. And I think, we talked about a lot last week, so I don't want to harp on it now. But, with leaving OPG and chopping out a bar stool or like a leg from the bar stool, it's like forced me to be like, all right, well, if maybe it's a good time to adjust some other things as well. And, if it's going to take longer to go full time, it is, it is. So just kind of do it in a sustainable way. So, I hope this makes sense. And I think the thing I'm taking away or, that what I think I've learned and maybe you're going through the same thing is kind of learning the difference between burnout and recharging your batteries. In no way, shape or form am I burnt out, right? Like I don't know. I feel like burnout is also synonymous with losing passion for something, maybe because you do it too much and it's not enjoyable, but that's definitely not the case for, on my end. And I feel like I've been doing this long enough and I'm self-aware enough to know, like, if that were to have happened, it would have already happened by now. I just love what we get to do. I love the community and I'm super grateful. And so these are all, all these things I think are good and they're exciting. And so we'll see what happens and how things adjust from there. So, YouTube has been going really well. We've been posting, 2 videos daily. The Spelunky series has been really, really stable. And I talked about it a little bit. I think I'm on one of the Twitch shows I'm like, okay, hey, the Spelunky series daily is going so well. Let me do the same thing for Tarkov. And I haven't made the announcement yet on YouTube, but like after June, that's not going to happen anymore, right? I'm not going to do daily Tarkov. And it has nothing to do with the viewership or support because it's been great there too. It's kind of like internally gauging everything, right? So when I go down to record, a daily episode of Spelunky or a couple at a time, like I could do 12 and each one is just like, I'm fired up to do it. But for whatever reason with Tarkov, it's like, I got to get myself up to do it. And I think that's one of the reasons why they fell off a little bit. And I don't know. I don't know if it's because I feel like Tarkov is a better fit for Twitch and I enjoy it there more, or because we're already playing, I don't know, 10 hours a week of Tarkov on Twitch. But I don't know. There just wasn't enough gas in the tank for the game for me to be able to continue it on a daily situation. And which kind of comes full circle to me. It's like there's all these internal things I feel like I know to be true on YouTube, and yet like it just I couldn't fit the square peg in the round hole, meaning that I feel like unless you're doing highly edited content, I think a way you can improvise on that is by doing daily content. So although the content may not be highly edited and produced, the fact that it comes out daily, I wouldn't say equalizes that fact, that it's not edited and have effects put in, but I think it helps. And so to not be able to pull that off on Tarkov for me, it's like, I'm definitely disappointed. And I think it's really important to the growth and to continue to go down the path that we're going down of, growing the Twitch channel and growing YouTube. I think it's really important to have some sort of Tarkov presence on YouTube. But I think I chalk this up to another L of, hey, look, I tried something. And honestly, I feel results wise, I feel like it worked really well. Like I was really happy with, the interaction, the community, the people that watch the YouTube videos. I got a lot of people messaging if I missed a day saying like, hey, where's the daily raid? And all that stuff really matters to me. But it's just on the execution end right now because, and I don't want to say it's because I'm not full time, but I couldn't get the rhythm down, and it didn't feel like the right thing to do, because if I'm having to get up to do a daily video, it's probably not the right series. And I think part of it inherently is not that I don't like Tarkov. It's just that I burn a lot of time, to get super granular. When I sit down to do a Tarkov video, it's like, 7 to 8 minutes loading out your character, buying, all the bullets, all the attachments, and then could be another 4 to 5 minutes loading into a raid. So right there's like 14 minutes sunk with no footage, no content, nothing. And you're like, well, Dan, it's only 14 minutes. Yeah, but for me, like, that 14 minutes is super valuable in terms of how much time I have to produce videos. And not on top of that, if I get, sniped or killed in the first couple minutes of a video, I've just put 15 minutes in, 14 minutes in for a 3-minute video. And then you load into the scav, and then you may last another 3 minutes. So now I've got like 4 to 5 minutes of an actual episode, which isn't even long enough to shoot an episode. And now I'm 30 minutes in. So I think and there could be ways around it. And I talked to the team about it and some ways we can kind of limit the downtime. And I'm not fully sold that a daily raid isn't the way to do it, but just the way I'm doing the daily raids now is not feasible to keep going every single day on YouTube. And that's okay. And I'm definitely disappointed, but not, beating myself up over it. It's like, okay, hey, look, this didn't work. And I think the biggest thing yet, and I haven't communicated it to the YouTube audience, is that I'll do an update video for the past month and kind of go through everything, see where we are on the YouTube milestones, but also talk about that, because the most important thing to me is wherever I'm putting content, I want to communicate clearly to the audience what exactly is going on and why, so that they have realistic expectations, or if something goes away, they understand why. And also, whenever I do things like that, the biggest thing I do is, outside of communicating, what's going on, from that point, then I just listen, because I always feel like, as a specific example with Twitch emotes, 99.9% of the time, all of the best, most used creative Twitch emotes comes from ideas from the community, the people that are in the community with, the ideas. And I feel like that's the same thing for YouTube. I'm going to say, hey, look, here's what's going on. Here's why it didn't work. And I'm just going to listen. And, some people say, hey, Dan, we'll just do it, forehead. And, that's definitely feedback I'm sure I'll get. And then, there may be some ideas I'm not even thinking about that could come from the community that will, give me a different perspective on bringing better Tarkov content to YouTube channel 1. So I know there's a lot going on, but super excited, for the opportunity to continue to figure this out. And I don't think, I bet if you go back to episode 1 of the podcast, I wouldn't say we're talking about the same thing, but I'm sure we started to talk about not problems, but hurdles to overcome that now we've overcome. But I think there's still a lot of similarity. I think the similarities involved in figuring out YouTube and how exactly it fits in. So hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. I know it's a little bit vague, but I think part of it is too, because I'm still trying to figure it out. And then once I figure it out, I'm gonna share that with you. But to do that, it takes taking a step back to kind of clear my head. But I do want to answer a question from the YouTube audience that listens to the podcast on youtube.com/DanGheesling Plays, which is the second YouTube channel where the videos for this podcast are posted, unless I'm recording this in transit or without video like this one. But this one is from Speth Jones Drew. It says, this was an awesome episode, Dan. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for a glimpse into the business side of things. A question I have is, when did you feel confident that you could succeed as a content creator? Was there a watershed moment for you? And apologies if you've already answered this. First off, thank you so much for, leaving this question. It caught our eye, and really it caught Tyler, the producer's eye. He's like, hey, Dan, I think it's a great question. You should answer on the podcast. So I appreciate that. So for me, I don't know that it was a watershed moment, but I think when I launched the show 2.5, almost 3 years ago, I'd probably say recently, looking back and seeing how much it's grown, I think that, I don't want to say that was like the moment, because there wasn't like a single moment where it's like, oh, there's a lot of people watching or there's a lot of people subscribing and this is the moment. I just feel like looking back now to think about where I started the show, and I can even see it now, like I started it, and it was almost like a closet-shaped room in the old office I was in with like a leaky ceiling that eventually we had to move out of, and I painted the walls green behind it, and we were just playing PUBG with randoms to then have it evolve into what it is now. Like, it's not really one moment. It's just a bunch of little moments and little changes along the way, like from, I mean, just the whole production. Like, it's cool. And I'm sure going back and watching, like, say, episode 1 of the show to episode 50 to episode 100, you can see little changes. And even if you watch the show now, you can still see the core of what started the show or what was in episode 1. So there was really no watershed moment. I mean, there were definitely some moments where, like, wow, like, you know, there's a lot of people that are supporting the show. There's a lot of people that tune in. One of the things that I think never gets old for me is I'll get a DM or an email or a text just saying, by the way, if you want to text me, you can text me at 313-241-9639, 313-241-9639, and just text me. I'm from the podcast, smiley face. And that's how I know that, you know, you got the text there. But I'll get a message saying, hey, Dan, thank you. You know, you made me laugh or smile, or this was really funny, or you distracted me. Like, to me, that's the stuff that, like, I always keep those. If it's an email, if I get that, then I print it out and put it on the wall. And because that's the kind of stuff that makes, I think, what I do the realest of all. If that makes sense. Like, it makes it real when you can hear that from someone directly. And it's pretty special to me, and I don't take that for granted. And it's also, whenever I get a message like that, it's a reminder, as much as you can be. Like, I don't think of myself as this, you know, I don't take myself too seriously. I think that's the best way to put it. But when you get messages like that, I feel like it gives you like a little bit of a intrinsic drop in the bucket that what you're doing is actually, you know, helping people or making people laugh or entertaining them. So with that being said, I appreciate the question. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed this week's podcast. If you guys did, text me at 313-241-9639, 313-241-9639. Say, hey, Dan, I like this week's podcast, and send me a battery emoji. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys soon.